We lost a lot of great souls in 2024, and one of those was Mr. Ratan Tata. More than just a business leader, he's a symbol of hope, humility, and unwavering dedication to his country. Today, on his birthday, we celebrate the legacy of this remarkable individual, a true inspiration to us all. The Tatas were a Parsi priestly family who originally came from Gujarat. The Tata Group's origins can be traced back to the 1868 establishment of the Central India Trading Company by Jamshedji Tata. The company primarily dealt in cotton and other agricultural products. In 1879, Jamshedji Tata founded the Bombay Mill, marking the Tata Group's foray into textile manufacturing. This move diversified the company's operations and reduced its reliance on cotton trading. The eldest son of Jamshedji Tata, Sir Dorabji, became the chairman of the group after his father's death in 1904. Dorabji Tata went on to build up the Tata Iron and Steel Organization or TISCO, which later became Tata Steel in 1907. TISCO became the largest privately owned steel maker in India and the nucleus of a group of companies which produced not only textiles, steel, and hydroelectric power but also chemicals, agricultural equipment, trucks, locomotives, and cement. The family's industrial facilities were concentrated in the city of Jamshedpur in Bihar state. Upon Sir Dorabji's death in 1932, Sir Nauroji Saklatwala, one of the founder's nephews, became the chairman of the Tata Group for a brief period. On his death in 1938, Jahangir Ratanji Dadabhai Tata or JRD Tata became the chairman. He founded Tata Airlines, which was India's first commercial airlines. This is why JRD Tata was also known as the father of Indian aviation, which later split into Indian Airlines and Air India. In 1945, Tata Motors was established. There is one interesting fact about the early days of Tata Motors. In the 1930s, TISCO started producing railway wagons and locomotives. This experience in manufacturing railway equipment laid the foundation for Tata Motors' entry into the automotive industry. So while Tata Motors is primarily known for its cars, trucks, and buses, it's important to remember that the company's roots lie in the railway industry. Under his chairmanship, the Tata Group grew from $100 million to $5 billion. In 1991, JRD Tata was succeeded as chairman by his nephew Ratan Tata. Ratan Tata was born in Mumbai on December 28, 1937 to Sunu Commissariat and Navalji Tata. He was the great-grandson of Jamshedji Tata. He had a troubled childhood, with his parents splitting up. He was raised by his grandmother in the lap of luxury at the Tata Palace downtown Mumbai. He went on to study architecture and structural engineering at Cornell University. Later, he went on to pursue a management course at Harvard University. He joined the Tata Group in 1962 in the Tata Steel division in Jamshedpur, where he worked with the blue-collar workers shoveling stones and working with the furnaces. He was later appointed director in charge of National Radio and Electronics Company Limited in 1971. Nelco was once a struggling telecommunications company. However, under the leadership of Ratan Tata, it underwent a remarkable turnaround and emerged as a successful player in the Indian telecoms market until it fell prey to the Indian economic crisis. 2 decades later, Ratan Tata became the chairman of the Tata Group in 1991. This coincided with the famous liberalization and globalization policy of Manmohan Singh, which turned out to be a monumental move for the growth of the Tata Group. This may come as a surprise, but Ratan Tata faced a lot of resistance in his new role, mainly from other company heads, as they spent decades in their respective companies to become very powerful and influential due to the freedom that they received under JRD Tata. He replaced them by setting a retirement age, making the individual companies report operationally to the group office and making each one of them contribute some of their profits to build and use the Tata's brand name. During his tenure, the Tata Group's profit grew by almost 40 to 50 times. The company witnessed the launch of India's first truly Indian car, Indica, which was the brainchild of Tata. Under his leadership, the company took several bold steps, propelling it from a $5 billion empire to a $100 billion one. Here are a few of them. The Tetley Tea acquisition. The acquisition of Tetley Tea by Tata Tea was the David and Goliath story of the financial world and created quite the buzz in the 2000s. This acquisition deal went down in history as the one that saw the acquisition of a global shark by an Indian minnow. The deal cost Tata $450 million to acquire Tetley when its net worth stood at a puny $114 million. Adding to the sensationalism of this deal was the fact that this was the first acquisition made by an Indian company using the technique of a leverage buyout. The acquisition did not require any persuasion. The global scenario was such that both the sides recognized the need for consolidation of resources. Tata had a great amount of raw material by virtue of its tea gardens, and Tetley had sales expertise on an international level. There would be an expansion of market share as the entity born out of this acquisition would have excellent vertical integration. The deal was quite different as instead of a cash transaction, which was the norm during that period of time, Tata utilized the option of a leverage buyout. In simple terms, a leverage buyout is when a company is purchased using a significant amount of borrowed money or debt. In this case, a special purpose vehicle was set up which was a complete subsidiary of Tata with very little equity capital. The debt was taken in the SPV against Tetley's assets, which paid off using the cash flows from the merger. Once the debt was paid off, the SPV merged back with Tata Tea. This move was not only a major win for Tata but for India as a whole. This move helped embolden other Indian companies to make deals that would strengthen and expand their operations and market share worldwide. Tata Nano, the tiny spark that ignited a giant. Having already established dominance in commercial vehicles, Ratan Tata set his sights on an ambitious dream to create an affordable, accessible vehicle for the masses that would revolutionize personal transportation in India. His brainchild, the Tata Nano, was conceived as the world's cheapest car, offering millions of middle and lower income families the opportunity to own a vehicle, which in India was still seen as a luxury item for many. The Tata Nano was unveiled in 2008 with great fanfare. It was marketed as the people's car, a symbol of Tata Motors' commitment to innovation and social welfare. Priced at approximately 1 lakh rupees, the Nano was intended to be a safe and affordable mode of transport for families who were otherwise reliant on motorcycles or scooters. However, the path to realizing this dream was fraught with challenges. Production of the Nano faced major hurdles when political unrest erupted in West Bengal, where Tata Motors had initially planned to establish its production facility in Singur. The opposition led by local farmers and political groups forced Tata Motors to abandon the nearly completed plant and relocate its operations. This setback was a significant blow, but Ratan Tata remained resilient. In a bold move, the company shifted production to Sanand, Gujarat, where it eventually set up its manufacturing facility with the full support of the state government. This relocation, though costly, ensured that Nano's production would continue. Despite this successful relocation, the Nano faced significant market challenges. Initially, Tata Motors had anticipated selling 250,000 units annually, but the reality fell far short. In the first year of its full production, only 70,000 units were sold. Buyers who had expected more refinement and safety from Nano were left disappointed. The perception of the car as cheap rather than affordable also hurt its appeal. Ultimately, production of the Nano dwindled, with only a few hundred units being sold annually by the time production was halted in 2018. The vehicle, which had aimed to revolutionize Indian transport, became a cautionary tale of market misjudgment. Despite the setbacks with the Nano, Tata Motors had another race up its sleeve. In 2008, just months after the Nano launch, Tata Motors acquired Jaguar Land Rover from Ford for $2.3 billion. Many questioned the acquisition at the time, especially given the economic downturn following the 2008 financial crisis. However, Ratan Tata's bold vision paid off. JLR became a major success story, with sales soaring, particularly in China and the US. In 2018 alone, JLR contributed nearly 78% of Tata Motors' total revenue, becoming a lifeline for the company at a time when its domestic passenger car segment was struggling. Talking about its failing domestic market, by 2017, Tata Motors' commercial vehicle market share had fallen from its high of nearly 60% to around 44%, and its domestic passenger car division remained unprofitable. But Tata Motors was far from defeated. The launch of the Tata Nexon in 2017 marked a turning point. It became one of Tata Motors' best-selling models, signaling the company's resurgence in the passenger vehicle segment. Tata Motors didn't stop there. With global trends shifting towards sustainability and electric mobility, Tata Motors embraced the future with its entry into the electric vehicle market. The Nexon EV, launched in 2020, became India's best-selling electric SUV, commanding over 60% of the market share in the EV segment by 2021. The company's electric portfolio continued to expand with the recent launch of the Tata Punch EV in 2024, which has garnered widespread acclaim for its affordability, range, and design. In fact, the Punch sales recently outperformed its closest competitor, the Maruti Suzuki WagonR, a long-standing favorite in the Indian market. Today, Tata Motors' share in the domestic passenger vehicle market stands at approximately 14%. A remarkable comeback considering its earlier struggles in the electric vehicle space. It commands an even more dominant position with over 70% market share in 2023. From the ambitious Tata Nano to the acquisition of Jaguar Land Rover and now to the success of vehicles like the Nexon and Punch EV, Tata Motors has weathered storms, learned from its missteps, and emerged stronger. Ratan Tata's vision of affordable mobility may not have been fully realized through the Nano, but his broader dream of making Tata Motors a global automotive leader has certainly come true. The largest gamble, TCS. By now it's clear Ratan Tata was a huge risk taker. After Tata Motors, the another jewel in his crown is TCS. The company was set up in 1968 as a small IT company which handled interbank reconciliations for the Central Bank of India and punching card systems for Tesco. Until 1991, the company had achieved a few milestones but could never make its mark in the entire Tata story. That is until Ratan Tata assumed chairmanship of the group in 1991. Till now, the company was handling small international and domestic government projects. In 1992, the company set up the core banking platform for the newly developed NSE. By 2003, the company became the first Indian IT services company to cross the $1 billion mark. On August 25, 2004, TCS became a publicly listed company, strengthening its business model. TCS built an ERP system for the IRCTC in 2006. In 2011, TCS embarked on its first foray into the SME market with cloud-based offerings. TCS's remarkable business model led to it achieving annual revenues of $10 billion for the first time in 2011-12. In October 2020, TCS achieved a significant milestone by surpassing Accenture as the world's most valuable IT business. This achievement was a testament to the company's remarkable growth and success. In conclusion, while TCS was initially seen as a risky gamble, it ultimately paid off handsomely for the Tata Group. Ratan Tata's visionary leadership and Chandrasekaran's genius, coupled with TCS's strong capabilities and the growing demand for IT services, transformed the company into a global IT powerhouse. Ratan Tata's legacy serves as a beacon of inspiration, proving that success and philanthropy can coexist. His unwavering commitment to excellence, coupled with his compassionate nature, has made him a global role model. Despite facing setbacks like the Chorus Steel acquisition and the Tata Nano's initial challenges, his resilient spirit and strategic vision have made him the pinnacle of business success. He is a testament to the enduring power of human kindness and the belief that success can be achieved without compromising one's integrity. Tata's legacy will continue to inspire generations to come, reminding us that true leadership is not just about financial gains, but also about making a positive impact on the world. A titan has fallen, but his impact will endure. Thank you for everything, Mr. Tata.